Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Michelle. I feel like we're long overdue for a much needed catch up. Today I'm going to do my makeup and my hair, and we're gonna chat like we're just two buddies on FaceTime. If you're new here, hi, my name is Michelle. I'm a 20-something living and working in New York City. I work on the branded partnership team at Refinery 29 and Vice. I also run this channel alongside my sister, my best friend, and roommate, Aline. And yeah, we have some good times over here. So if you're new, make sure to subscribe. Why don't we just hop right into this very chatty Q&A. This is for everyone who loves a chatty video, for everyone who loves a long YouTube video to put on in the background while they're cleaning, cooking, whatever it is, whether you're working from home or, you know, just making your bed, doing some chores. This is for you because it is probably gonna be a longer one, and yeah, if that's not your thing, feel free to click around. We're gonna talk all things from how I landed my job, what my dating life looks like currently, to how long I see myself living in New York City. Lots of like juicy topics. So why don't we just hop right in? All right, we're kicking things off with SPF because SPF is so important. I'm using the Supergoop Glow Screen, which honestly can sometimes be a little dark for me because I am unfortunately so pale right now. But we're still gonna slather that on. A few of you on Instagram asked about my summer plans. As of now, the only real summer plan that I do have is I will be going back to Montana in June, which I'm really looking forward to. Summers in Montana just are unmatched, and I actually like didn't go back last year in the summer. I only went back for the holidays, so I'm really looking forward to being in Montana in the summer. And I'm so excited because I'm going to the Joni Mitchell Brandi Carlile concert at the Gorge. So me, Aline, and Lise will be doing a little road trip out to the Gorge, and we're going to be seeing Joni Mitchell, which is insane, and Brandi Carlile, of course, and then we're actually seeing the Highwomen as well. As of now, I don't really have any other summer plans. I've been starting to get the travel bug again, and I really do want to plan like an international trip soon. And I don't know, I've just been very overwhelmed by the concept of travel. I think post-pandemic, I just like don't really even know where to begin when planning a trip, and it like kind of overwhelms me. But I really want to see so much more of the world, and I do love traveling. And I do want to travel more now that I'm in a phase of my life where I have more stability. So stay tuned, maybe I'll plan an international trip soon. Who's to say? I would absolutely love to get a trip planned, like if not this year, then definitely next year. Lately, instead of doing like a full face of foundation, I've been doing just concealer on areas that I feel like need a little bit more coverage, and then bronzer and a little powder to finish it up. I've been using the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer and have been really liking it. I feel like it can crease a lot around my eyes, but I just feel like I have creasy eyes, so it's kind of like hard to prevent that. Just putting on eye primer as well. This is the Rare Beauty one, which I like, but I feel like it doesn't have as much long-lasting power as others that I've used. Some of you asked for a dating update, and I hate to disappoint, but I went into the year feeling so good about my dating era, and I've just kind of like fallen off the wagon with it, and yeah, have been not really dating. I went to take a short break from it and ended up just like not really engaging with the apps. But I do feel like with the warmer weather, I'm getting more excited about like going on cute dates and like meeting more people. As far as updates go on just like my mindset, I think I'm just like, I'm trying to pivot into just working on being content with where I'm at and not worrying so much about the future or comparing myself and other people's timelines to mine. I feel like I'm getting into an age, I'm in my late 20s now, I'm 28. The amount of weddings and pregnancy announcements are just like growing exponentially, and I know that that's just going to increase as I get older, and I am trying to work on just not comparing my timeline to anyone else's. Ultimately, like, I am really content and happy with my life as it is, and I would not be comfortable at another timeline. but it can be really difficult to like spiral and compare yourself to other people and convince that you somehow have it wrong, and that's just not true. Trying to find a place where I can be happy for other people and enjoy where I'm at and like soak up my life while not necessarily shutting down dating completely. I used this Merit brush to blend everything, by the way, and I used the Milk Makeup bronzer. I did get a question on queer dating tips. So I feel like obviously I'm not an expert because I have not been super successful, but I do think that I've learned a lot in my last like 3-ish years. I do think mixing it up is really helpful. I did go to a queer speed dating event, and although like it didn't necessarily work out, it was still fun to meet new people and just like get out of the habit of like swiping and judging people based on like their appearance on an app, and like talking to a ton of people in one night. It was super helpful with getting out of a rut, so highly recommend getting into speed dating, just like trying it out to like get out of the like mindset of like mindless swiping. I also think that building a community of queer friends is super helpful. I think that starting with friendship can be such a great resource because you can meet people through other people, and letting it be known that like you're single, you're looking for someone, like you can communicate like what you're looking for, your type, like what your vibe is. So I think that that can definitely help as well. There's also a ton of things that I know would help me that I don't necessarily practice, but I think that if I went to more queer events and more like gay bars, I probably would have more success with meeting people in real life. So if that's your scene, if that's something that you're comfortable with, like definitely try that out, especially if you have like a buddy to go with. I think that that can be really helpful, just like getting out of the usual circles that you spend time in. As far as like any tips for the apps, I think that like trying talking to all sorts of different people, like maybe people who aren't like your type on paper, it can be really helpful. Like there's definitely been people that I've been not super wowed by on the apps that I've met in person, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm like didn't expect to be into you, but I'm super into you. I think that any way of getting out of our like usual rhythms and routines with dating can be super fruitful. And of course I'm saying this with the huge privilege of living in New York City and having such an expansive community of queer people and queer events and businesses, and I know that it's like so different depending on where you live, but hopefully something in here was helpful, and best of luck to you. I am struggling right along with you, so we've got this. I just added some blush, went to town with the Tarte Peaceful blush. I'm gonna add some highlight. This is the Merit one, which I'm absolutely obsessed with. We're just gonna slather this all over. I think people are always super curious to hear about like how long people see themselves in New York City. I got a couple questions about that, and like honestly right now where my head is at is that I see myself here indefinitely. I see myself growing old here. I see myself building a life here, but that being said, things change all the time. When I first moved to New York, I wanted to live here forever. Year 2, I was thinking maybe more like for a couple more years, maybe 5 years at the most. And then when I left and then came back after the pandemic, I was like, absolutely not, maybe only like a couple more years for me and then I'll be set. But now I literally could not imagine living my life anywhere else. New York just makes me feel really grounded and connected to myself, and I just have really grown to feel at home here more than anywhere else, and comfortable here more than anywhere else. And the like chaos of the city just like really like settles me. Now when I go to places that are more slow paced, I actually get more anxious and more uncomfortable and feel more lonely, which is very interesting. I find that the hustle and bustle of the city just like really puts me at ease and really empowered with like so much at my fingertips, and having such a like amazing walkable community like in my neighborhood. I think that it just like makes me feel very connected to myself, my independence, and my life. I think it's hard with the internet because you say something once and then people kind of like hold you to it forever. But as of now, I don't see myself leaving like literally anytime soon, but I think it depends. It depends, like, do I want to have kids? Would I be able to afford a lifestyle in New York that includes children? Who am I going to end up with, and do they see themselves in New York? Where are my friends and family going to settle, and would I be content living somewhere really far away from them? Like, there's so many things that haven't happened yet, and I don't know how I'm going to feel when they happen, so it's really hard to speak on it when I'm at this point in my life where like none of that is happening. So it's really easy to say I want to stay here like for the foreseeable future. Things change, people change. I also do love like a cottagecore life and like a more like quiet, peaceful life, and like having a house and a garden sound lovely. So maybe one day I'll really crave that, but as of now I'm staying put. I love it here so much, and I've never felt belonging as much as I have here, which is such a lovely feeling. I got a couple questions about the job hunting process, and I know firsthand what a struggle that is. Like, I just want to reassure you that you're not alone and that I've been through it. It took me about 5 years in my career. So I graduated college when I was 23, so I was a little bit older, and I would say it took about like 4 or 5 years for job hunting to become significantly easier. I remember when I was in between jobs at the age of 24, it was so difficult to get my foot in the door anywhere, because everywhere seemed to require years of experience that I didn't have, but there were no opportunities to get that experience that was desired from employers to begin with. And of course I can only speak from my experience and my field, which is social media marketing, content production, and I feel like it takes a little while, but getting comfortable with the process of spinning your experience into skills that are directly related to the job that you're looking for is absolutely crucial. So even though you may have experiences that don't directly match what the job requirements are, you can find skills and experiences within your previous responsibilities at past jobs that directly correlate to what they're looking for. I think that honing your writing skills is one of the most important things that you can do when you are looking for a job and applying for jobs. Learning how to write a really strong cover letter and develop a really strong resume despite what experience you may have is so pivotal to getting your foot in the door anywhere. And again, this took me years and years and years of practice, and I had to do a lot of research. Luckily, I took a few resume and cover letter building workshops when I was in college. But if you're entering a field that's more creative or rooted in the digital space, maybe that involves design in some sense, or just overall just having a strong eye, I think working on honing how you're presenting yourself in a professional way can really help. I also did really have to start small in my career and work my way up when I wasn't getting responses to the job applications that I was putting out there, even after working on honing my cover letter and my resume, and I was doing everything right and I was doing all this research. I really did have to start applying for positions that were maybe a lower level than ideal and just like work my way up. I also think that creating opportunities for yourself to gain experience where you are ultimately hoping to land is really helpful. So obviously I work in social media marketing as my day job, but then I also have a YouTube channel on the side. So whatever the equivalent is in your career, I know it's like not transferable for a lot of industries, but if there's something that you can do, even if it's volunteering, even if it's something that's like a side project or even a hobby, just to like build out yourself as like a more well-rounded candidate. Again, it's hard when I'm just talking about my own experience with social media marketing, because I know that there's a lot of industries that like this would not be. Like, how would you do that for like nursing or something like that? Like, I can only speak to my own experience. But if you happen to be in the same industry as me, like it might be helpful to hear, hopefully. But my YouTube channel has really helped open a lot of doors, which has been really cool. Getting comfortable with networking can also be a huge resource. Just learning how to connect with people and ask for help in a way that isn't slimy or taking advantage of other people can really benefit you in the long run. And just working on making authentic connections and friendships can make the world of difference and has helped me so much in my career. And just as much as you ask other people for help, try to offer people help in return so that you're really paying it forward and creating these connections that are like mutually beneficial. I did find my current job on LinkedIn, but I have used a recruiter in the past, and I feel like recruiters can be super helpful for entry-level roles and for just getting your foot in the door, for advocating for you and your skills in a way that maybe like you don't have the ability to just yet. So I highly recommend looking into different recruiters and recruiting services in your area. I used Michael Page to get one of my first jobs in New York, and that was such a like springboard and really helped me get the experience that I needed to then go forward and be able to like move up in my career. I used this little Ilia eyeshadow palette. I used this little shimmery shade and then this like lighter like orangey shade. Now that I have bangs, I sometimes completely forget to do my eyebrows. I'm going to use Glossier Boy Brow, which I've been liking, but it can be a little bit clumpy. But I did want to give it another chance, so I'm just gonna like scrape off the excess product so that it doesn't clump as much. But I've been liking it for like just a casual like swiped up brow. Someone asked about what I've learned at my most recent job, and I think that's such a good question. If you followed me for a little bit, you may be familiar with the fact that I've struggled with a lot of micromanaging situations in the past throughout my career, and that's been like quite a pattern, unfortunately. And in this job, I think one of the main things that I've learned in the last 8 months is how those situations were not normal and not acceptable, even though I was kind of gaslit into thinking that they were. But the fact that my previous employers needed to know every second of the day what I was working on and where I was at every given point, even when I was consistently meeting deadlines and contributing a great deal of work to the point where I was doing like 2 to 3 people's jobs, was not normal and was not okay and was not acceptable. Of course, I'm learning a lot of valuable skills, and I'm now in the branded partnerships area of social media marketing, so there's a whole new wealth of information that I'm taking in, but that's the one that sticks out here 8 months in. Now onto hair. I'm gonna split off into 2 sections, going to do like the under layer and then gonna do the layer on top. Have been wanting to buy a new curling iron. This one is broken and I think it's like a little bit too thick for me right now, and it doesn't really like grip on to the hair very well. So I know a few people have been asking for like a hair routine, but I really want to get a better curling iron and then do like an updated one. So let me know if you have any favorites for like barrel curls. Like I want them to be very like, I don't know, full and bouncy. So I've been curling the ends and I've been really liking that look. But yeah, I just alternate in sections away from my face and then toward my face, and I've been really liking how it looks, and I've gotten a lot of compliments recently on my hair, which is very kind. Someone asked if I have a favorite feel-good look or item for work. I feel like my feel-good, like classic staple pieces are always like a turtleneck or a button-down. Those are just like, I know, such like basic pieces, but I feel like you can mix and match them in so many ways. Like slap a like tighter fitting turtleneck under a blazer, or even layered under like a bigger sweater or a button down, and I feel like that just like automatically creates like a nice mix of textures and layers. And I just love classic pieces. I love like a more masculine button down as well, and I love button downs especially in spring and summer, because when it gets warmer, when I work from home, I usually work in like a little tank top or something, and it's so nice for calls to be able to like throw on a big button down and you look a little bit more professional. Someone asked what inspires me to make videos, and I think that ultimately, like, I've definitely had phases where it's been hard to get motivation and become inspired. And I think that ultimately, like, I've always been the type of person who loves documenting my life. Like, I've kept journals, I think I want to say since I was like 10 years old. When social media became a thing, I remember just like gravitating so much to making like Facebook albums and MySpace posts, and I just like thought it was so fun and creative to just document my life, kind of like a digital scrapbook. I think that it just feels really like natural for me to want to document bits and pieces of my life. There's definitely that side to it where creatively it is very fulfilling, and I think it also really helps me to romanticize and see the beauty in like very little mundane things, especially in like darker periods in my life. That's not the common outcome of social media, to like make your mental health better, but I think there definitely have been moments where posting the simple little like beautiful magical things about day-to-day life has helped me kind of change my outlook and really like focus on the good and the like special elements in my life, even when it's been really hard. But I also think that the feedback from you guys watching inspires me so much, like hearing that we're your comfort channel, especially as someone who struggles with their mental health and who uses YouTube to self-soothe. It's like such an honor to be able to do that for other people, and it's, I think, something that we don't take lightly, and definitely something that keeps me to coming back to posting. A TikTok friend of mine, Riley, asked for tips for starting a YouTube channel, which is so exciting. I say absolutely go for it. I've done YouTube since I was 18, so that's a decade of YouTube, so I feel like I have definitely learned through a lot of trial and error. But I think that a few things that I would definitely consider if I was starting from scratch now is utilizing any other platforms where you have a bigger audience to like cross post and cross promote, and try to bring the audience that you already have over to your new channel. I also think that creating content that maybe differs slightly from content that you're posting on another platform can really help draw people to following you in multiple areas. I think something else that can be quite helpful is to get familiar with the platform. Maybe it's a platform you don't use very often, or maybe it is, but I think that getting familiar with it from the perspective of a content creator is different than a viewer. Just taking in the little details of creators that you love, that you enjoy, and not copying them, but getting inspiration and seeing how you could utilize maybe like an editing technique or a little segment in your videos, or even like thumbnail inspiration. I think that becoming a YouTube viewer is just as important in the process of like becoming a creator, and just knowing how like the platform works, like what creators are doing, if there are any fun trends or things that are popular that you can take part in. I feel like with longer videos there's more room for you to be yourself and more room to integrate like your own personality and your own thoughts, and people are really gonna stick around and subscribe for who you are as a person. As much as I don't follow this advice, I think that having a consistent posting schedule is always something that like the professionals are recommending. As much as that's something that I don't really follow, I do think that it's helpful for growing an audience, like being consistent, whether that's like having a specific day that you like to post, or maybe you're just posting on a regular weekly basis or every other week. Like having a set up time, I think is super helpful for growing an audience. I think that thumbnails and titles are so crucial to bringing in new people on YouTube. So learning how to create very like clickable and enticing video thumbnails and titles is, yeah, I think really key. I have a lot of YouTubers that I love and admire, and I try to like check out their pages from time to time, see if they're doing anything differently, see like what videos of theirs did really well, and if there's a difference in the thumbnails, and if there's a difference in like the way that the title is structured, or buzzy keywords. Yeah, unfortunately that is, I think, very crucial on YouTube. And you can also do that with your own content, where you can look at videos you've done in the past and compare and see, kind of analyze, like, why did more people click on this one than this one? And obviously, ultimately do what you want to do and create videos that you love. But if you're looking to grow, those are just a few things that could potentially be helpful. But again, if you don't love what you're doing, you're never going to want to stick with it, and it's not going to be fun, it's not going to be enjoyable. So at the end of the day, just create what you want to create and what makes you happy and what's sustainable for you in the long run. Like, if there's a type of video that drains you, that you really hate making, you're not going to want to create it. So I think that really honing in on, like, what's fun and kind of feels effortless for you as a creator. With YouTube, the filming, the editing, the thumbnails, the description box, all of that can be a lot of work. So if you're not enjoying what you're producing, it's just not gonna be something you're gonna want to keep up. So yeah, just finding a way where you can have fun with it and you can feel true to yourself, and like, it's a joyful creative process as much as possible. Like, it is always gonna be work, but if you can find a way to make it fun and make it feel a little bit more effortless and playful, that is super helpful in the long run. Best book you've read in 2023. I think the best book I've read, I want to say top 2, Crying in H Mart. Like, absolutely incredible, breathtaking read. I got an advanced reader's copy of Old Enough by Haley Jacobson. It's coming out in June, and bisexual main character, campus novel, grappling with being a survivor, finding queer community and queer friendship. Also a really cute queer romance little plot point as well. Yeah, the book of the summer. It's coming out in June. Make sure to pre-order it. It's so good. I'm kind of a slow reader, and I read it in like 4 days. So yeah, could not put it down. I know I've already been talking way too much and this video is way too long, but there are so many good questions. Tips for eclectic cottage decor. You and Aline executed so well. Thank you so much. Obviously, like, thrifting, antiquing is so helpful for finding like affordable vintage pieces. I think if you don't know where to start, honestly, finding vintage art in little ornate frames has helped so much in just creating a very cozy feel. I actually found a lot of them on Etsy, searching things like small vintage watercolor painting or small vintage oil painting, whatever it is. I think that when I look around at our apartment, putting up art has made such a difference in curating the feel that we want to. Fellow Upper West Sider here, I'd love to hear about how you've created a sense of community up here. This is actually something that I'm still working on. I feel like I have a lot of friends uptown. I have friends in Harlem, Washington Heights, the Bronx, the Upper East Side, but not a ton of friends in my neighborhood specifically. Definitely something that I struggle with as well, but I think that attending community events is incredibly helpful for meeting new people. Just off the top of my head, there's a tulip festival going on at the 91st Street Community Garden. I think that finding spots that you enjoy frequenting, you'll start to see familiar faces, whether it's a workout class, or for me it's probably the 79th Street Green Market and Grand Bazaar. You'll start to see familiar faces when you build these habits of frequenting these spots. And I also think that getting comfortable with being the initiator. I've noticed that I tend to let other people approach me and plan things versus kind of like taking initiative and planning the things that I want to do by myself and inviting people to attend. So I think that getting comfortable with being the person who initiates, who makes the plan, without worrying about seeming like you're too much or you're creepy, without worrying about being too much, because your people are not going to think that you're too much, and your people are going to be excited to do the things that you want to do just as much as you want to experience them. So that's something that I want to work on as well, where like I keep saying that like I want to go to more dinner parties and more picnics, and I've just got to get into the habit of planning them myself, because ultimately I have the power to make these things happen. I'm gonna add some hairspray. I've been using the Nexus hairspray, and like I add quite a bit, but then it like holds for like the next 3 days, and these curls will fall and be a little bit more like loose and effortless, but yeah. I'm just adding a little bit of the oil from Davines, which I have yet to find a better oil, honestly. I'm just gonna use that to finish it up. A little goes a long way. I'm gonna stick to like the ends and like maybe the like mid-length, but keep it away from the scalp area. Someone asked, I saw your parents are Chilean. How do you keep your Spanish alive? I'm a mom raising a bilingual kid. My dad is from Chile. My mom is actually from New Zealand. Aline and I were actually born in Chile, so I lived there until I was 13. So I feel like that really did cement a lot of my Spanish. I will say that when we moved to the United States, I think there was a big urge to assimilate and just like become an American girly. Not from my parents, definitely from within. My parents did a great job at I think speaking Spanish all the time to us and each other, and even if we like responded in English, I just was constantly around my parents speaking Spanish, so I do think that that was very helpful in making sure that I did not forget it. It would also drag me and Aline to Chilean Independence Day celebration barbecues with the Chilean community in Missoula. I don't think it was until I moved to New York, where there's just so much more diversity, massive amounts of Spanish speaking communities. It's been so wonderful to continue to reclaim that part of my identity in my adulthood, but it definitely took a long time. I had like a stubborn teenage phase where I was just like not really into keeping up my Spanish. Definitely gone through various phases, but I think with raising a kid, the best that you can do is not force them to speak the language, but keep them regularly exposed to the language so that they don't lose it. My parents did a really great job at making sure that we didn't lose the language. It's something that's so important to keep alive. I finished everything off with this Maybelline Color Sensational Shaping Lip Liner in the shade Totally Toffee, and I just honestly, like, I guess I did line my lips a little bit. I kind of just put it all over because it's just such a nice shade. Unfortunately, I know that I've already talked so much about everything, and I still didn't answer every single question, so huge apologies if I didn't get to your question. A huge thank you to everyone who submitted a question, and thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video if you did. Stay tuned for more content coming up. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. You can also follow me and Aline on TikTok and Instagram to keep up with us. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, for asking questions if you asked a question. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video, and yeah, bye.